Hey, this is a trendy socialite. I hope all is well with you. I apologize for the delay in getting these videos done. I was a lazy bum over the weekend, so I just didn't record any videos, so I'm going to be cranking them out, and I will be wearing the same clothes in all of them. Okay, so anyway, let's get started with Proverbs Chapter 3, and I'm going to try to keep this in my time frame because there was a lot in Chapter 3. This was probably, there's only been 3 chapters that to this video point, and this is like my favorite so far. There was just so much good stuff in there, so let's get started. I first started, I highlighted so much, but starting at verse 3, where it says, "Let not mercy and truth forsake you, bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart, and so find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man." And essentially what that is saying to me is that mercy and truth need to be a part of who you are, where it talks about bind them around your neck, which means keep them close like that. Your neck is the thing that connects your head to the rest of your body, to your heart, and to the rest of you, and keeping them around your neck keeps them close to both areas, and that means that it'll forever be a part of who you are in your thoughts and in your heart as well. And then write them on the tablet of your heart, which means that it's there, it's not going anywhere. As you think, as you feel, as you experience life, you will always have this mercy and truth sort of guiding you in your decision making. And one thing, if you haven't noticed, but you will notice in a lot of Proverbs, is that they're almost like if-then statements. And if you remember that from English, where if you do something, then this will happen. And it can be positive or negative. And for instance, in in verse 4, where it says, basically 3 and 4 is an if-then statement. If you added the word if and then to the scripture, it would say, if you let mercy and truth, if you do not forsake mercy and truth, if you bind them around your neck, if you write them on the tablet of your heart, then you will find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. And so that's basically saying, okay, God is explaining to us, if we do these things, then he'll help us find favor with not only with man, but with him as well. Verse 5 and 6, if you've been at church any considerable amount of time, these are verses that you hear quite often. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. And there are essentially 3 commandments in those 2 verses of scripture. One is to trust God, which is to rely on him. 2 is to lean not, to not depend on your own native instincts, because I don't know about you, but sometimes my gut, my intuition, my instincts, they are just not accurate. They lead me astray. They get me in trouble. And then 3, acknowledge him. If you have, and that is essentially have fellowship and intimacy with God. If you do those 3 things, God will make your path straight. Once again, an if-then statement. If you trust God, if you lean not to your own understanding, and if you acknowledge him, he will direct your path. He will make them straight. And straight essentially means that he will make it clear, that he will, I won't say make it easy, but it will be straight. It won't have as many crooks and dips and all of this kind of stuff that sometimes life throws at us. Let's see, verse 7 and 8. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It will be health to your flesh and strength to your bones. And I thought of several things with these 2 verses of scripture. One, if you think about your high school classmates, no matter what age you are, really, unless you just graduated from high school, But really, no matter what age you are, My parents called it like someone living a fast life. And we all have classmates that just did stuff that we didn't do until we were in our mid-20s, like they were doing it in high school. And if you haven't seen them for a while since you graduated from high school, and you see them now, whether that's 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, and you look at them and you're like, oh my God, like they look so old. And they just look like my parents say they've had a hard life. Like they've just lived life in the fast lane and all that kind of stuff. And it ages you. It absolutely ages you. Because if you think about it, you're staying out all night or staying out late, and you're trying to get up, hopefully, and go to work in the morning. So you're not getting proper rest. All of that ages you. All of that makes you a lot older. Makes you look a lot older than you actually are. And it makes you feel older. When I have gone out and tried to, when I've gone out like on the weekends for something, and then literally I am paying for it the next week. I can barely function at work. I have to, as soon as I come home, I have to go to bed. Like I am feeling it. And that's what happens when, and that's not saying that going out and having fun and staying up late is evil. No, I'm not saying that. But a lot of times, a lot of not so good things happen late at night. That's all I'm saying. And my daddy said the first time I heard this, I laughed, I know, for like an hour. My daddy saw one of his classmates, and it is so funny, like, to see my parents' classmates, especially, because, like, we're essentially still in the same area where they went to school. And so we'll see them out, and, after, they've talked or whatever, they leave the table. My mom was like, yeah, I went to school with her. She was in my class or something like that. And I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at my mom, and I'm like, no, she was like at least 5, 6, 8 years ahead of you. She's like, no, she's my age. And I'm like, are you kidding me? These people look so old. And she said, in high school they were really popular. They hung out all the time and did all this kind of stuff, and they just lived a really, really fast life. And all through Proverbs, and I've read the chapters as we've been trying to read them, and it talks about wisdom and being wise and living a life that is upright in the sight of God and man, and how that prolongs your life and how that makes you attractive. That actually is in one of the Proverbs that we will read, and it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Okay, I'm talking too much about this. But I was saying, one of the funniest things that my dad said that I laughed, I know, the first time I heard it, for like an hour. He was talking about, I don't know if it was his classmate or my mom's, and he said, she looks like she has been rode hard and hung up wet. Oh my God. And we laughed so long about that, because just that visual was just like, oh my God, she does look like that. And when you have kind of lived that fast life and just doing whatever you want to do and not making wise choices and decisions in your life, you can age yourself. You can look older than you really are. In verses 9 and 10, a lot of times those verses are used when you're talking about tithing, about the first fruits, and that's what you're supposed to give back to God and that sort of thing. The other part that I remember, verse 12, for whom the Lord loves, he corrects, just as a father the son in whom he delights. And a lot of times, young Christians or people that are new to the faith, they don't really understand why they sometimes go through certain things and why they experience trials and loss and tests and bad situations. And a lot of that is because God is trying to teach us something. He's trying to teach us a lesson, and that's not in a I'm going to get you back eye for an eye type of thing. It is so that we can learn, so that we can grow. God is absolutely concerned about our personal development and wants to make sure that we are the best possible Christians and the best possible people that we can be. Sometimes he has to use some hurtful, negative, not some good feeling situations in order to get those lessons across. One thing that you just want to be cognizant of is to try to make sure that those lessons are sort of few and far between, or as few and far between as they can possibly be, and that you're not repeating the same lesson over and over and over again. That would be very frustrating. In the Life Application Bible, it says, He doesn't punish us because He enjoys inflicting pain, but because He is deeply concerned about our development. He knows that in order to become morally strong and good, we must learn the difference between right and wrong. His loving discipline enables us to do that. It also says, it's difficult to know when God has been disciplining us until we look back on the situation later. And I know that's absolutely been the case for me. When you're in it, you feel what you feel, based on the situation and how that is affecting your emotions. Once you're on the other side of that, then you're able to look back, hopefully, with some objectivity and say, that hurt, that was not fun at all, but I learned this lesson, but I know that I won't do that again. If I was presented with this situation in the future, I would make a different choice.